everybody. Hey Wellness Crew. I am so glad that you're here to join me for today's practice. Our focus today is going to be hip openers, but we're going to do it with a little twist. So basically what we're going to do is 3 sun salutations in between every single hip opening pose. Why are we doing this? Because we want to stay warm. So that way we can get the most stretch that we can and the most benefit that we can as well. All right, so let's go ahead and start with 3 sun salutations. So breathing in, raising up our arms, coming into a swan dive to a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. So only the palms of our hands, the balls of our feet, and our toes are in contact with the mat. No other part of our body is in contact with the mat. Coming into upward dog. Trying to keep our shoulders down and back best as we can. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands in, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms, coming into a swan dive to a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Stepping one foot forward, the other foot meets it, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Coming into mountain pose. Taking a couple of deep breaths in this position before falling forward into forward fold. Stepping back into plank. Coming into hovering. And sometimes I'll change how low I go in hovering, just so that way I can kind of hit my biceps in a different way. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Relaxing the neck. It's probably more for me than for you. Walking our hands in towards our feet. Forward fold. And slowly rolling up. All right, so that was 3. So we're going to go ahead and start with a kneeling lunge. So this is not a mobility day, but this was inspired by somebody. So we're going to, it's going to kind of be a little bit like a mobility day. We're just not going to hold the poses for as long. And I'm going to try to get over my whole thing about counting my breaths to count how much time we're doing this stuff for. That's why I set the watch. I was like, oh yeah, technology. Oh, that'd be helpful. And we're going to go ahead, bring our hands down to the mat, bring our left foot forward to come into a kneeling lunge on the left hand side. And again, how this opens your hips, we're really working on the front, especially if you kind of like lean in with your left leg. You're going to really feel it on that right hand side. And you might hate me a little bit for the pose that comes after this, but you'll thank me afterwards when you're feeling a lot better. I promise. All right, bringing our hands down to the mat. Let's do some cat-cow real quick, just so that way we can get some movement in our spine. So lifting our head up, bringing our butt up, inhaling. And as we exhale, dropping the crown of our head towards the mat and arching our back. All right, getting back onto our feet and breathing in, lifting up our arms, swan diving into a forward fold, relaxing the neck, walking our hands forward into plank. Here, I'll get in an angle, see if that helps you see better. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Sun salutations, breathing in. Swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Oh, my stomach touched on that one. I broke the rule for the first time. Upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold. and slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms, swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Stepping one foot forward, the other foot meets it. I'm going to turn around just a little bit. Forward fold. And slowly rolling up, coming into mountain pose. Just taking a couple of deep breaths in this position. You're doing great. Okay, so we're going to come back into that low lunge. We're going to call this a quad stretch. Why? We're going to start on our right leg. We're going to grab our left ankle or our left foot with our left hand. So you may feel a lot of tightness. That's okay. But if you feel any sharp pain, go ahead and release your foot or your ankle. But most of the time that doesn't happen unless you have really tight quads that need either like a masseuse or some type of extensive mobility, which I do have a video about. I just don't remember. I think it's like mobility with Jenna or something like that. I think there's 2 of them actually. So and with this pose, the longer that we hold it, the better the benefit is for you. So I'll try to talk you through this so that way you're a little bit distracted. I just don't know what you want me to say. I'm just kidding. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be fine. It's really not that bad. All right, releasing that left leg. Going ahead, bringing that right leg back, bringing the left foot forward, coming into that kneeling lunge. We're gonna go ahead, grab the right ankle or the right foot while I gain my balance. And see, on my right side, I feel a lot more tightness than I do on my left side, which is not normal for me. And just keep holding. If you think you can't do it, you totally can. Go ahead and breathe through it, okay? So go ahead and breathe in for 4 counts. Exhale for 6. Inhale for 4. Exhale for 6. That sends a message to your parasympathetic nervous system to chill out. All right, perfect. You can go ahead and release that. Let's go ahead and come back into our sun salutations. Breathing in, lifting up our arms. Swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands back towards our feet, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms, swan diving into a forward fold. Walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, shoulders back and down as best as you can, tucking your toes underneath for downward dog, walking our hands back to our feet, forward fold, and slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting our arms, swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, tucking our toes underneath for downward dog, stepping one foot forward. I'm turning a little bit, you don't have to, the other one meets it, forward fold, slowly rolling up, coming into mountain pose. Just a couple deep breaths in this position. And getting back into our hip openers. So we're gonna get into, it's called a lot of different things. Today we're gonna call it butterfly. So we're gonna bring the soles of our feet together. And we're gonna bring our heels close to our groin. And then we're going to fall forward as best we can. This is great for opening up the hips. Nice deep breaths. And slowly rolling up, coming into our sun salutations. So lifting up our arms, breathing in, swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling, walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, tucking our toes underneath for downward dog, walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold, and slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms, swan diving into a forward fold, walking our hands out into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, tucking our toes underneath for downward dog, and walking our hands in towards our feet for forward fold, relaxing the neck, and slowly rolling up. One more. Breathing in, lifting up our arms, swan diving into a forward fold, walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, tucking our toes underneath for downward dog, stepping one foot forward, the other foot meets it, forward fold, slowly rolling up, and coming into mountain pose to take just a couple of breaths. Nice and deep. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get into lizard pose. So in lizard pose, what we do is we have our right foot forward, our left knee is on the ground. We're gonna go ahead, bring our forearms to the mat. In this position, by all means, you are totally free to get into the outside of your foot and really open up that hip. You might feel a pop or two, it's okay. But if it feels painful or uncomfortable, go ahead and just stick with regular lizard, okay? You're doing great. I probably should have said at the beginning, we're gonna bring our hands in, we're gonna bring that right foot back, bring the left foot forward, and get into lizard on the left side. I should have said at the beginning that it's hip opener and core work. And once we get to the core work, there is no sun salutations anymore. So yay for those of you that hate it. Continuing to breathe deeply. And if I could have your help on something, if my subscribers could comment on this video that Corey needs to do this video, it's spelled Corry, I would greatly appreciate it, and it would be really funny. All right, we're gonna go ahead, bring our foot back in contact with the mat, bring our hands to the mat, and go ahead and come into our sun salutations. But I'll be nice and bring it down to 2. Lifting up our arms, inhaling, swan diving into a forward fold, walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms. Swan diving into a forward fold. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Stepping one foot forward, the other foot meets it, forward fold. And slowly rolling up into mountain pose, where we're taking a couple of deep breaths. All right, perfect. All right, so from here, we're gonna go ahead and get into happy baby. So we're gonna put our pointer finger and our middle finger on our big toe. Our thumb is gonna be on the inside of our foot. What we're gonna aim to do is have our knees go towards our underarms, or if you want to go wider, that's totally okay too. I just have really long arms, so it's hard for me to do this correctly. I'm disproportionate, damn it. Just breathing in through your nose, exhaling out through your mouth. We are hitting your hips in all ways that we possibly can today. A few more breaths. And going ahead and getting up out of that position. Coming into our sun salutations, which again, I brought down to 2. Breathing in, raising our arms. Coming into a swan dive, exhaling at the bottom for forward fold. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms. Swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking forward with your hands into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Stepping one foot forward, the other one meets it. Remember, you do not have to do it the way that I'm doing it. I'm just doing it for your ability to view. Slowly rolling up and coming into mountain pose, where, yes, we're going to take a couple of breaths. Okay. So from there, we're going to go ahead and get into frog pose. So with frog, let me see, maybe at an angle that would be better for y'all. So in frog pose, what we're doing is we're bringing our knees and our heels of our feet either in alignment or having our heels be a little bit like closer in. How you're going to get this stretch in your hips is by pushing that ass back. Pushing your bottom back. Taking a few deep breaths. Well, actually taking all deep breaths when you're in this pose especially. So we're getting the inside of our thighs. We're getting our hips. And why I really wanted to do a specifically hip opener routine that was written out and not free flow for once was because I wanted to allow people to kind of like release anything that they might be holding on or carrying on to. Our hips are one of those places where both men and women carry things, you know, from the past or from trauma, from a lot of different things. So sometimes what you'll find is when you're opening up the hips, you will, you know, maybe feel a little bit emotional or something. That's totally normal. That's totally okay. I'm trying not to hold the poses so terribly long so that way, you know, you don't feel like you're going to get there. But it is something to think about. Like when we have loose hips, when we're not sitting for 12 hours a day, we are going to be in a much better state. We're going to have a longer life. You know, sitting for that long every day is detrimental to your life expectancy. So doing yoga, you know, working out, being active as much as you can, that obviously is a huge component of wellness, which is what I coach. So it's a big component, but there's also the emotional component, which is where a lot of these kinds of routines will, you know, come into play. I just sometimes won't really explain it too much because I don't want you to catch on. All right, let's go ahead, come forward. Oh, on our toes, on our knees. And we're gonna go ahead and do our 2 sun salutations. So bringing our arms up, breathing in, swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling, relaxing the neck. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Remember, only the palms of our hands, the balls of our feet, and our toes are in contact with the mat, nothing else. Even me. Having our shoulders down and back, and upward dog, tucking our toes underneath to get into downward dog. Walking our hands back into forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Breathing in, bringing our hands up. Swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Almost ate that plant. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Stepping one foot forward, the other foot meets it, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. All right, perfect. So we're going to go ahead and get into, what did I write down? Row face, okay, I know what that is. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our left foot, the heel, okay, into our right thigh. We're going to bring our left heel into our left thigh, right above the knee. We're going to go ahead and bring our left arm to the outside of our right knee. We're going to look back and we're going to have our right hand or our right fingers in contact with the mat. And it's the feet positioning that makes this a hip opener. Okay, going ahead, we're going to switch sides. So bringing our left heel towards our, our right heel towards our right hip, bringing our left ankle to our right thigh, bringing that right hand, bending the elbow, and now you can see it from behind. All right, very good. You can release from that. We're going to go ahead and get into our sun salutation. So breathing in, lifting up our arms, coming into a swan dive, forward fold, walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, tucking our toes underneath for downward dog, and walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold, relaxing the neck, and slowly rolling up. Breathing in, lifting up our arms, swan diving into a forward fold, exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank, coming into hovering, coming into upward dog, you are doing so good. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog, Walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Okay, that was 2, I think. So let's go into half Lord of Fishes, which sounds a lot scarier than it actually is. I totally promise you. So all it is we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna bring our right knee over our left knee, okay? We're gonna go ahead and move our butt out of the way so we can get onto our sit bones. Your sit bones are the bones that are right by your anus, basically. We're gonna go ahead, turn to the left-hand side while trying to maintain that positioning with our sit bones. And then going ahead, coming forward into a forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Same thing. Crossing our left knee over our right knee. Moving our butt out of the way, getting onto our sit bones. Trying not to move our butt too much. And then coming forward into a forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Very good. Okay, so this is our last cycle of sun salutations. Yay! Breathing in. Bringing up our arms, coming into a swan dive, exhaling at forward fold. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Walking our hands in towards our feet, forward fold. And slowly rolling up. Breathing in, raising up our arms. Swan diving into a forward fold. Exhaling. Walking our hands forward into plank. Coming into hovering. Coming into upward dog. Tucking our toes underneath for downward dog. Step one foot forward, the other one meets it, forward fold. And slowly rolling up, ending in, you guessed it, mountain. Just a couple deep breaths. Okay, so let's go ahead and get on our mats for some ab work. I believe we did this in the last session actually, but I really loved it, so we're gonna do it again. So we're gonna go ahead, start with our feet nice and straight. We have our hands interlaced, or our fingers interlaced behind our head. Then we're gonna bring our neck up, bring our knees up, and then we're going to have our left leg go straight. Our right leg is gonna go at a diagonal. And coming back down, we're gonna repeat the same thing on the other side. And really try to get that diagonal as best you can. We got 4 more. Last one. Awesome. We're going to go ahead. We're going to bring our feet to the mat. And we're going to go ahead and bring our right elbow to our left knee, like that. Bring our head all the way back down, then bring our left elbow to our right knee. You got this. Just keep going. Four more. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and switch to being on our, well, not on our stomach, but in a forearm plank. And from here, we're going to go back into dolphin. So dolphin is very similar to downward dog. It's just you're on your forearms, basically. Basically, I didn't say exactly. So we're going to be switching from plank to dolphin. That's what's getting me. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to come back onto our backs. Oh, sorry for hitting the mic. We're going to bring our heels in as close as we can to our groin area to go ahead and continue with the hip opening. You can actually bring your hands in towards the inner part of your thighs and kind of push down lightly if you would like to. Or you can just try to kind of heel toe it, bringing those heels toward the groin. And then what we're going to do is bring our arms up overhead. And take some nice deep breaths. We have Savasana after this, and then we are all free. But I have loved doing this practice with you. I'm just feeling emotional because of all the hip opening. I'm just kidding. In through your nose. Longer exhalation through the mouth. All right, from here, we're going to go ahead, extend our legs out, opened up a little bit, having our palms facing the sky, and getting into Savasana. So this is like our reset, our acceptance of what we were able to do in today's practice. It's really important to have a recovery period. I know it's just yoga, but it's really good for your body. Honestly, my Shavasana should be a lot longer than they are, but I know that everybody's busy and everybody has a schedule to keep. So I try to keep them short, but poignant as much as I can. So the reason that our hands, our palms are facing the sky is for that reception, right? That reception from your higher power, the universe. It is to, accept abundance into your life, because a lot of times what a lot of people have are these limiting beliefs. These limiting beliefs that come from childhood, that come from just over time, right? And it takes a lot of work to overcome those limiting beliefs. But once you start to do that inner work, once you start to really grow, once you start to really value yourself and see yourself for what you honestly are, you will have no limits. The world will be completely yours. Will you have bad days? Of course you will. Everybody has a bad day. But your life will be so much more improved because you don't have all these limiting beliefs shackling you to something that isn't even true. And that's what sucks about limiting beliefs, right? Is that we find ourselves shackled to them when they're complete bullshit. We don't need them. So during the Shavasana, what I would like for you to do is try to think about any limiting beliefs you have about yourself. So it could be stuff like, I can't do XYZ, or I'm not XYZ enough to get what I want in life, or, things just don't work out for me, things like that. What I want you to do is I want you to try to reframe them. So I want you to change whatever the thought is into something positive. So let's say that, this is just an example. Let's say that you feel like you haven't succeeded in life the way that you wanted to. A way to reframe that would be, I'm on my journey and I'm on my way. And that's how you see it. That's how you do a mindset shift. So I want you to think about these limiting beliefs that you may have, and I want you to go ahead and reframe them. Now, this isn't going to work immediately. It's going to take time and practice, but if you're willing to put in the work, it is so worth it. Because again, so many walls are going to come down. You're going to have just so much abundance because you have been shackled to these beliefs that are not true in any capacity. So nice deep breaths. Have gratitude for yourself for honoring your body today by participating in this practice. And even after this practice, really work on the limiting beliefs and really work on the reframe and the replacement thoughts, right? Because it does take practice to get into that mindset shift, but it is so worth it. I promise you, because I've lived it and I've done it. All right, let's go ahead, bring an arm out. It's enough coaching for today. We're gonna go ahead and get on to our side. You can get into a kneeling position or a seated position, whatever you prefer. I am so grateful that you joined me today. I appreciate the new subscribers. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to like and maybe think about joining the exclusive tier membership, because there is a lot of wild stuff popping off on there and we're having a lot of fun. So thank you again, and I will see you on the next video. Be well, stay wild.